And in just a short while from now, Joe Biden is all set to host a COVID-19 virtual summit, a push to end the pandemic. The aim of the summit is to bring together world leaders, health professionals, experts, NGOs with a singular message to end the pandemic by 2022. On the agenda are two main goals. Let's break them down for you. Firstly, the American president will be challenging the world leaders to vaccinate 70% of their country's populations by September 2022. Secondly, the U.S. plans to donate an additional 500 million Pfizer vaccines to the rest of the world. This will bring its total vaccine commitment to 1.1 billion. Yesterday, at his first speech at the UN General Assembly, Biden emphasized on America's commitment to end the COVID-19 crisis. Biden said that the U.S. had put more than $15 billion towards the global COVID-19 response, shipping more than 160 million doses to other countries. Wealthy nations have been criticized over vaccine inequity across the world. Huge disparities exist between countries with ample supply and others that have barely started their vaccination drives. Just 3.6% of Africa's eligible population has been inoculated, while 54% of the U.S. population is fully vaccinated. That's how huge this vaccine inequity is, the gap. Yesterday, the UN chief Antonio Guterres slammed the world's vaccine rollout plans, calling out the inequitable distribution. Listen in.
On the one hand, we see the vaccines developed in record time, a victory of science and human ingenuity. On the other hand, we see that triumph undone by the tragedy of lack of political will, selfishness and mistrust. A surplus in some countries, empty shelves in others. A majority of the wealthier world vaccinated.
Washington will be seeking to rally the world around three goals: increasing vaccine supply, saving lives by resolving the oxygen crisis, and access to testing. And lastly, improving future preparedness for pandemics. This comes as COVID-19 cases are surging once again across the United States. The country has recorded over 676,000 deaths, surpassing the country's death toll from the Spanish flu over a century ago, making the current pandemic the deadliest in American history. And our correspondent Susan Teherani has been at the United Nations headquarters ahead of the crucial COVID-19 summit. She's getting us this detailed report on the expectations.
WION-USA Direct from New York with Susan Teherani.
What we do know is that it is expected to be announced that the United States will purchase from Pfizer an additional 500 million vaccines to donate to lower income countries, which will bring all in all the number of U.S. vaccines donated to the world to 1.1 billion. The United States and the Biden administration insist that this is a no strings attached initiative and hopes to end the pandemic, an ambitious hope, by 2022. This is the outline, general outline of the summit. Now, this is a summit that's going to be with world leaders, NGOs, the private sectors, and other partners from around the world as well. It's a virtual summit. It's 4 hours. It's going to be divided into 1 hour separate sessions. Prior to this summit, journalists were able to have an off-the-record sort of Q&A with senior administration officials, and one of the questions was how much will the president himself sort of be involved in this summit, and the answer was that he's going to be involved notably in the beginning and the opening ceremony and the first sessions of this summit. And the first session is called Calling the World to Account. Since it's going to be divided into 4 sections, the second section, if you're interested, is going to be called Save Lives. Now, The third, we're all familiar with the slogan, Build Back Better. And the fourth session will be a closing session, sort of a closing ceremony, which Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, will take part in. It will be moderated by a COVID chief from the White House, and it's really aimed to call on world leaders to take more action on COVID, in tackling COVID, with the U.S. having a leadership role.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.